Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining. It's your favorite nonfiction author, Matt D. Talford, author of Captain's Mate, a practical guide for tennis captains, league players, and high school coaches. And before we get started with this week's hot topic question for Wednesday, what I would like to do is I would like to thank each and every one of you who have participated in the Captain's Mate discussion group. We've had some great conversations, some great topics around professional tennis matches, league tennis, and so on and so forth. So I would like to thank you guys for joining and participating. Now, without further ado, we're going to get into this week's hot topic question. Now, if you've been following me on the Captain's Mate VIP players, coaches, and captains group, you know that last week I asked you guys to submit questions that you would want to see asked on the air for this week's Hot Topic Wednesday question, and that the person whose question was selected to be read on the air would receive a free paperback or iBooks copy of Captain's Mate, my book. Anyway, so let me get right to it. We had some great questions that came in, and this was a very, very difficult decision, but the staff ended up going with our winner, Mr. Andrew L. from South Carolina. And give me just a moment. I'm going to read Andrew's question to you. Thank you for your patience. So, Andrew's question was, in any local or USTA event, how common is it for someone to call a foot fault on the opposing player during a match? What is the protocol and rules for such a ruling, and what is the most respectful way of bringing that infraction up, given the assumption of all of us being good sports, honest players, and yet still wanting to compete and win? Great question, Andrew, and again, congratulations on being the question that was selected. Send me a DM and we'll get your information from you to decide we'll get your information from you to figure out where we need to ship this copy of the book. But anyway, to get on to that question, that is a great question, Andrew. And actually there is specific language in the code. For those of you not familiar with the code is the section of the ITF rules of tennis that help to govern non-officiated matches. Now, if I'm not mistaken, item number 24 of the code deals with calling foot faults. And basically what it says is it's perfectly legal to call foot faults during a match, but only after all reasonable efforts have been exhausted. And those reasonable efforts being warning the player and, if available, contacting or calling an official to come over and watch that player serve. So after you've exhausted all those reasonable efforts and the foot fault is so flagrant that it's noticeable from your end of the court, then by rule you can call foot fault. Now I'll tell you, that's probably not going to go over well with a player that you're playing against for, a match that counts. It could be a tournament match, it could be a league match. I just personally don't think it's going to go over well. Now, you might ask, Andrew, and again, that was a great question. You might ask, Matt, how do you handle foot faults? This is not a rule. This is the way Matt handles it. Do it at your own discretion. But for players that are flagrantly foot faulting, but their serve is weak, I don't care. I don't care. Now, if you're serving over 100 miles an hour and you're foot faulting, you don't need that extra foot you're stepping into the court, okay? And I say foot because there is a specific instance of a player who had a huge serve that I won't call his name, but some of you might know him, but I'm not going to call his name if you play in my area. Anyway, this player is known around the club and around the league for stepping an entire foot inside the court before contacting the ball. Now, for those of you that are watching this video and you're not familiar with what foot faults are, a foot fault occurs when a player who is serving has his or her foot touch the baseline or cross over. All it needs to do is touch, but some people are flagrant with it. But if your foot touches the baseline prior to the racket making contact with the ball during the service motion, it is a foot fault. Okay, which will result in a second serve if that foot fault occurred on the first serve, or a loss of point if that foot fault occurred on the second serve. Now, let's get back to league matches and unofficiated matches. Again, according to article or item number 24 of the code, you are within your right to call foot faults. I'm not going to call it if your serve isn't that good. If your serve is really good, well, you know what? Let me do this. Let me give you a scenario where it actually happened to me. This particular player, who's known for flagrantly foot faulting on just about every serve, was serving against me, and I asked him, I said, hey, you're foot faulting. Just be aware of it. It continued, and of course there were no officials because this was an unofficiated match. So I caught his serve with my hand. I caught it like a baseball and threw it back to him. And he looked shocked. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm within my right to actually call foot fault. I'm going to let you serve it over because, you can't see yourself. I would invite one of your teammates or your spectators who came out to watch you play. They will probably agree with me that you are flagrantly foot faulting. So if you would, just serve it over, and if it helps, take a step back or whatever. Give yourself enough room to serve. But I'm not going to accept a serve from you that you are flagrantly stepping into the court before making contact with the ball. I'm not gonna dock you a serve and make you take a half a point away from you, if you will, or call it a foot fault. But I'm also not going to return that serve. I'm not going to accept it. So please." And this player was kind of ticked off, but what he did was he actually came up to me after the match and said, "Thank you for telling me that and being honest." He said, "I can't tell you how many people I think would go and talk about me behind my back and tell me, man, that guy is always doing this, that, and the third." He said, "I appreciate your honesty and letting me know." And he said, "Ultimately, I think it's going to make me a better server." So that was a long question. I did not mean for this video to go 6 minutes, folks. But again, I want to congratulate Andrew from South Carolina for your submission. And folks, keep the questions coming. I'm having a great time with you guys. You got a question a burning question that you want to see asked on our Wednesday Hot Topic, just submit it to me. Keep the questions coming in. And for those of you that did not win this week, I thank you for participating. And who knows, I may reuse your question next week, or in a week to come. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of your week. Happy hitting, and get out and play some tennis if the weather's nice where you are. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.